Well, Pacelli and Boomer, they're grizzled and gray, talking about Star Wars from back in the day. Got a talk show called Geeky, it's true, spinning old tales about the stuff they went through. From Atari to Trek, they know every line. Geeky, man, they're feeling just fine. Pacelli's got a lightsaber, swings it with pride. Boomer's got a game but plays it deep in the night. They're ranting about He-Man and old X-Men too. On Geeky, they're the nerdiest crew, talking Transformers toys that twist and they turn, singing blues for the geek life, their hearts still burn. Oh, Geeky, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky with hearts made of gold. They're sitting in the studio, mics turned up loud, reminiscing about Super Friends, feeling so proud. Pacelli loves Spider-Man, Boomer's for Hulk. They argue about Star Trek with passion and both. From Betamax tapes to their old D20s, Geeky is where the nostalgia flows. They got fans in the chat, from the young to the old, tuning in to hear stories that never get cold. Talking Ghostbusters, proton packs, toys in the box, and Saturday mornings with cartoons that rocks. Pacelli and Boomer, they're keeping it real. Geeky is with that old school feel. Oh, Geeky, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky with hearts made of gold. They're singing the blues for the games that they play, for the VHS tapes and the arcades that pray. But the spirits are young, though their hair's turning white. Geeky keep the nerd fire alight, so tune in each week to the Geeky show, where Pacelli and Boomer let the good times flow. From X-Files to X-Men, they're dropping the news, singing praises of geek life with them old blues. Pacelli and Boomer, forever they'll be. Geeky living wild and free.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geeky Geezers, and thank you for skipping the Super Bowl just for us. I'm kidding. Anyway,
yeah, chances are that if you're here, you probably weren't going to be watching the Super Bowl anyway.
Is it as big a deal as it was? That's what I'm wondering.
I have not seen it yet, but Culture Casino has a early release of his video up for members. You guys will all get to see it eventually. Where he's talking about a lot of concern over there about Super Bowl ratings, and especially revolving around their halftime show. They're gonna get ganked, I think.
I know some people will watch the Super Bowl just for the halftime show.
Yeah, not this time around.
Well, it used to be the halftime show was the thing. I mean, yeah. I think I've only seen one Super Bowl, maybe two, and the one definitely was when the Bears won the Super Bowl, and they did the whole Super Bowl shuffle and all that. But I've heard people talk about how the halftime show is like the thing because they want to know what's the newest commercials that are coming out for this product and that.
Well, the commercials are a big deal too, and we'll be talking about one of those tonight, won't we, Boomer?
One of them, at least, yes. But we'll probably have more next week because some of them were probably kept under wraps, right?
I don't know how it goes. I remember last year there wasn't a lot of great ones.
In the case of tonight's commercial, it was under wraps of toilet paper, probably. But anyway.
I see what you did there. Anyway,
I'm your host, Age Boomer, Miss my co-host, Papa Pacelli, and my other and my other co-host, Netter of Netter's Network, otherwise known as the Geezette. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. And sorry, I forgot to do the intros, but have a great show, my geek friends. Wishing everyone a wonderful week. Well, I hope you have a wonderful week as well, Big Al. And I'm telling you, though, Lynn Green. I do have a news story at the top of the hour I'm very happy about, so it's not all bad tonight. I know I feel like we rant a lot of the show, but I'm very excited about being able to get a game for the 100th time. Okay, but
for crying out loud, I mean, we're doing a pseudo news show here, and it's always been the rule in news: if it don't bleed, it don't lead, or if it bleeds, it leads. Whatever it is, it's always bad news is what people want to hear about. We try to keep it as positive as possible, but let's be honest, right?
I would be arguing it's what people can get excited about or get angry about. And it's better if we could have news where people can get excited about stuff in the geek culture rather than
But
it
those
being,
are preciously
yes,
few and far between.
like when we were growing up, how we would get excited about announcements.
Right.
And also in the old days, when you were critical of something, people didn't jump all over you for being a toxic fan. Like if they made a bad superhero movie,
Yeah.
like a certain movie that begins with
Well,
an S
honestly,
and
I
ends with
wish
a Paul.
people would start pushing back when someone says, especially in the media, when someone says something about toxic fans, say, maybe you shouldn't be calling your fans toxic. Maybe you should just do better. I would love to hear an interviewer say that. I would just love to hear it just once.
Poor Irving Kershner directed RoboCop 2, and that thing got very badly received by the critics, and he never directed again. He felt bad about that, never directed again. I actually liked RoboCop 2, but there's an example of a director taking criticism to heart, and maybe too much in that case. But he's the one that directed Empire Strikes Back, and then we have Rian Johnson, who made a horrible sequel and just goes on and doesn't care, and that's where we are. They don't listen.
I have always gone on record kind of defending Joel Schumacher, not because he didn't do a terrible job. He did a terrible job, but
he acknowledged it. Yes,
he acknowledged it. He felt badly about it, and when you dig more into it, you realize he was doing what he was told to do. It's kind of like when you order a pizza and you say, yeah, throw a pineapple and anchovy on it. And they like, okay. And then you get exactly what you ordered and you're like, oh, this sucks. Well, it's hard to blame the pizzeria when they gave you what you ordered,
Yes. Well, we still have pizza. We don't necessarily have Batman right now, but we have pizza. But anyway.
Well, the fans are keeping Batman alive too. We'll talk about that in an upcoming
that's good.
Last call eventually.
Welcome, Netters Network. Get a hi, sweetie. Okay. I'm just kidding. All right. And let's see. Matanui, welcome. Did they change the mod symbol? I don't know. Maybe. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, welcome. Deep Pensec, welcome. Let me see here. Deleted scenes, welcome. Behind the Curtain Band.
Behind the Curtain Raid. Thank you so much, my friend. And can you confirm, Deleted, there is no I almost said cheap seats. Reserved seating tonight?
I don't know. RoboCop 2 was fine enough. Didn't see the other sequels.
Yeah, it was very much a mixed bag.
3 was no. They didn't get Peter Weller back for it, so then they got a guy that looked kind of like Peter Weller with the mask on, with the helmet on, but he didn't sound like Peter Weller.
Right, and that's a big difference.
I don't know what happened to the villain who was supposed to be the villain in Part 3, who was obviously going to be the head of OCP. I was expecting him to be the big villain of Part 3, and he's not there. And then they have some Japanese assassins in it, which were kind of cool when you realize later on, oh no, those are robots. Those aren't actually. I thought these were like ninja guys. And that was kind of neat. That was the only part I liked about that movie, when he's fighting them and you realize, oh, those aren't men. Those are actual robots from Japan. Okay, yes.
Which means it's okay to slaughter them, right?
Well, they were going for PG-13 rating. Another problem with that movie.
Exactly.
What are you doing, people? Oh, let's not see. We are talking about the good old days. Not everything was good.
Yeah.
Andy Masterson, welcome. Pacific 414, welcome. Okay.
Good to see you, Pacific. It's been a while. I also like Andy Masters, the talented one. Andy Masterson says, last call with Troy Pacelli. We've been trying to get in touch with you about your car's extended warranty. That is incredibly funny because I'm a slow reader. And as I'm halfway through that, I'm like, oh, I thought he was literally trying to get in touch with me because, we're going to be meeting up down in Florida in March. And I thought, we're trying to reach you because we got to, get our schedules together or whatever. No, he's making a joke.
Yes, exactly. And I like this. Wait a minute. Who was saying they're taking over now? I'm the captain now. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's Baron. Paranorman tag.
Well, but you know what? We still appreciate the raid. Thank you so much, my friend.
That was in the movie Captain Phillips, the one with Tom Hanks, based on the true story about the Somali pirates taking over. And he says, "I'm the captain," and I almost felt like standing up there and said, "You can't say that." Like the guy said,
Actually, what I would have loved in that movie. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Well, good. Here's the keys. Good luck to you. It's a hell of a job.
I have a question. Did you see that on regular TV or in the movies?
I saw it neither. I haven't seen the movie.
Okay. Because I saw it in the theater, and man, because it's done with handheld on the ocean, I was starting to get a little seasick just watching the movie. That's what I'm going to say.
No.
With that, when I saw that.
And Lynn is on chapter 40 of Revolution. I haven't even started yet. I've been so busy. And I need to get on that so that we can talk about that for our next Batman 89.
Oh, the Batman. Okay, yes, the Batman books. I get you. Yeah, that might be the way Batman lives on.
And in fact, in connection with that, I am going to do a, I think I might do a toy review related to that. So something to look forward to. I'm in Minnesota. I know all about Somali. Oh, geez. I'm so sorry, my friend. And welcome. Wilkie's Movies and Music, great channel. And if you are not subscribed to him, where the hell are you going after last Liquid Lunch on Fridays? Come on, man.
Go over to Wilkie's.
Exactly. Corey's good people.
I was hoping to finish and watch Returns this weekend. Returns holds up. Big fan of that movie. But there's another thing I'm a big fan of, and I guess this might be a welcome Canadian Spider-Man.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you.
Man, now that should be a Marvel comic. They should do a Canadian Spider-Man.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're... they used to, back in like the late 80s, early 90s, that was back when they were spreading out the Avengers. They had the West Coast Avengers and the East Coast Avengers.
Yes.
And in Canada, they had Power Pack, and they had, I don't remember what the other team was. And, I think they had some other superhero teams in other countries. And then DC started getting into that. Soon to be Alberta Spider-Man. Cool.
What would Canadian Spider-Man's villains? You'd have to have one based on a moose, right? Aren't mooses,
it would be Canadian Moose Man, wouldn't it?
It would be Canadian Moose Man would be his arch nemesis. Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Did Booger show up? I missed Booger. Oh, hi Booger. Isn't this how Mikey Spock rose? Well, kinda. Yeah. Good.
He falls into a vat of poutine and snaps. Okay, like he can. I'm trying. I don't know. I'm sorry.
And he comes out fried, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'd be another villain. Okay,
right.
Captain Poutine or something. That's
I like that. I like that.
Okay. Anyway, moving on to
an entire village of beaver eaters. That could go a different way.
And it'd be the two guys from Great White North on SCTV. They could be villains too.
Yeah.
Or they'd be the J. Jonah Jameson. They just say, "We don't like that Spider-Man fella,"
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this. Let's go to the presentation. Nothing lighthearted for good old days this week. We're going hardcore.
Oh yeah, you want me to bring up the presentation?
Bring it up. Good old days, and of course, when we were on our stream Friday, I kind of brought up the idea of lost media.
Yeah,
how we kind of have movies and TV shows that aren't really readily available right now. And I have to tell you, the various '90s television series are not available anywhere. And I think a lot of the science fiction shows like Lex, I keep wanting Lex to get released on Blu-ray or something similar. But even more high-profile series, they're not on Blu-ray, and you can't even find the DVDs anymore, which is a pity because my DVDs of the show got lost in the flood. But I will talk a bit about the show and try and recollect it as best I can. I did watch it twice through, and that show is Millennium. What do you know about this show? Nothing.
I know it was a supernatural based thing. Didn't it have some time travel in it or something like that?
No, you're thinking of that movie.
I was
with
Cheryl Ladd,
Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd, and they That was interesting because I think we're trying to repopulate the future by going back in time and replacing people in crashes like plane crashes with dead bodies, putting like, because they can recreate dead bodies, but they can't create life. So we'll switch out people who are supposed to have died with like corpses to fool people in the past. Then we could bring those people to the future to have them repopulate the earth. That was an interesting idea, but that's not what this is. That's a different Millennium. That's Millennium, the movie.
Okay.
This was made by, I think, executive produced by Chris Carter. Had a lot of the same writers as the X-Files. I used to sort of the sister series of the X-Files. Now, I'm going to get to some controversy, and you can yell at me in the chat. This does not take place in the X-Files universe. And I don't care that they did an episode of the X-Files that sort of wrapped up Millennium later on, and you had Frank Blanca there. I don't. Even Chris Carter said on the DVD's behind the scenes feature, well, we were kind of winking at the audience, yeah, because this was a separate series. It's its own universe. It's dealing with its own things. Now, it kind of gives off a similar mood to the X-Files in some ways. Like, I think the same guy that wrote the music for Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Maybe I should say God bless you, because, of course, this show deals with religious mysticism. It deals with serial killers. It kind of a dark show. Probably the
okay. Now I'm getting the title, Millennium, yeah.
The end of the turn of the century and perhaps the end of the world.
I get it now.
Season 1 starts out, it's very much like a serial killer of the week show. You had mentioned that you might have watched Profiler at one point. I think Profiler was on at the same time. I remember during season 1 Millennium, I liked Profiler more because I felt that Millennium season 1 was kind of grim. Okay, This is Frank Black. He's a retired FBI agent now serving as a consultant on FBI cases, and I think he's also a entry member of this group called the Millennium Group, which are made up of like retired people from the government that worked in FBI and other places, and they're sort of trying to safeguard humanity from things that are that stuff that's going to be bad stuff that could be happening, especially in American society.
Oh, so this isn't connected to X-Files. This is connected to Twin Peaks.
Funny man. It's its own animal, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like the X-Files and Twin Peaks, you have a lot of the same actors circulating on this show as well. Right. But season 1 is very much he's a family man. That's his friend from the Millennium Group, who was played by.
I'm forgetting the actor, but of course he played
Terry O'Quinn.
He played the captain of what was it? The captain of the Pegasus in
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Remember the Pegasus?
And he was also in Lost. He was
John Locke on Lost. Right. So exactly. Terry O'Quinn, really good actor. I think most famously earlier on in his career as the stepfather in those movies. If you remember those
right. I've seen Stepfather, yeah.
But he's playing a good guy on this show, at least till we get to season 3, which I'll get into in a little bit. And then they switch
everything up, right?
Well, here's the thing. This show, I feel, would turn into a different show with each season. Chris Carter's very much first season. It's almost like, I want to argue, maybe like a Silence of the Lambs series, except this is about he goes after serial killers, and Frank Black has a gift, or maybe you might call it a curse. He can see what the killer sees. Like, he'll get flashes when he goes to crime scenes, maybe stuff that was in the killer's head or something like that. Later on, you learn that male members of his family, they get the ability to kind of see things that see evil, and also even to see demons. Mm-hmm. And then you find out later on that his mom had a gift, and women in the family had a gift that they can see angels and portents of things to come that you may not want to see. And that was the other thing. So it's kind of like the opposite with the women of his family. It's sort of like a cursed bloodline. Of course, you find out on Millennium later on that there are other people who also have these gifts, so scattered throughout the world. But he has a young daughter named Jordan. There's his wife. I think they weren't expecting to have kids, but they had one late. And there's little Jordan and his wife. So he's got the nice house with the white picket fence, but it's like an idyllic home life, except then he goes out on these horrifying cases. This character is Lucy Butler. I want to say she is sort sort of the cigarette smoking man of this show. She is one of the recurring villains. She only shows up once in season 1, once season 2, ends up showing up twice in season 3. Lucy Butler, Butler, servant, Lucy, Lucifer, get the
see.
devil servant. Okay, she's a demon. She's a demon, and there are other of these two. I think what happens is on the show they never went too far into mythology, but I had the impression that sometimes a demon would take over the body of a dead person and then just start walking around in that body, and that's what would happen on this show. So he deals with demons on this show too. A lot of religious mysticism on the show, deals with Christian mysticism. Also, they even did Native American mysticism in an episode too, where they're expecting what was the legend where eventually the buffalo would return and all that. They kind of did a take on that in one episode, which is kind of funny. But this is one of the serial killers that shows up on the show, Avatar. This is sort of the Millennium version of the Zodiac Killer. Okay, they wanted to basically have the Zodiac Killer on the show, but they didn't want to actually use the Zodiac, so this guy's named Avatar. And the idea was Frank Black, when he was in his prime in the FBI in the 70s, he almost caught this guy. And in this episode, this character, Avatar, was actually using the internet websites to display his murders. Do you understand? Because it was early on with the internet, right? So
he was the one that got away.
Yeah, that's basically it. And he gets away at the end of this episode too, but he's able to save the woman he was about to kill. So there's at least that. But they were actually going to bring him back in season 4. He was going to be using pagers or cell phones or something, but they didn't end up getting to that because it didn't make it to season 3. It's funny you mentioned Legion. That was sort of the name of some of the bad guys on the show. I think those demons and inheriting corpses. But this was just a weird show. Frank Black was interesting as a character because before he had returned as a consultant to the FBI, he spent time in a mental institution, because one of his last cases as an FBI profiler was he was going after a serial killer who thought the idea that if you leave your front door unlocked, that was his invitation to come in and kill you, basically. And
wow,
I think he was sending Frank Black pictures of the murder victims before he did her, and finally Frank Black catches him and the guy goes to jail, and then Black gets a picture of his family in the mail, just like the other pictures, and then he snapped and he had to go to an institution, but he got okay again. Then he became a consultant, basically. That's Roe Decker. He was one of the recurring characters in season 2. He's kind of the stereotypical computer nerd guy. Do you understand?
Was he one of the
lone gunman? He would have fit in well with them, but again, this show mainly dealt with serial killers, but it would deal with the supernatural stuff like demons as well. So it wasn't like the X-Files where you'd have UFOs and all this other weird stuff.
Well, I'm getting the feeling that there was probably some overlap there too. The demons were influencing these serial killers and stuff.
Yes, that was the idea, that maybe there is a hellish influence, and that's why. And it's also, we're getting toward the Millennium,
right,
where maybe things will be happening. You find out in season 2, gets very interesting. Of course, this also got the writers into trouble with Chris Carter because he was busy with season 5 of the X-Files, and he was also busy with the X-Files movie that they were working on, and he wasn't really overseeing Millennium season 2. So Morgan and Wong, two primary writers of the X-Files, kind of took this show over and brought it in some interesting directions. I found season 2 of Millennium, in my opinion, one of the best hours on television, because it really started going into things like, are we headed toward the end times that were biblically described?
Yeah.
And of course, this season ended with, as you know, in the Book of Revelations, it's the also known as the Apocalypse. It was the 4 horsemen are predicted, right?
Right, exactly.
Plague, war, famine, and death. Those are the 4,
correct,
right? And
correct.
It ends with a Soviet virus that ends up getting escaped, and suddenly you see people all over the country dying these horrific deaths where they like bleed out, and it's this horrible virus gets on the loose. And the idea was this was going to be the first of the 4 horsemen plague, basically, and it was
and don't worry, people, because it's not like any of this could ever really happen in the real world. This is all complete fiction.
Yes. This show would have a sense of humor too, though. They did do some comedic episodes. They did one episode with Charles Nelson Riley, reprising a character he played on The X-Files called Jose Chung. On the X-Files episode, Jose Chung, he did a thing. He was writing a book about UFOs, and this he was writing a book about. I think it was Jose Chung's Doomsday Defense or something. It was all about Doomsday or something. And Charles Nelson Riley's a hoot on anything.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, or was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was in this episode as well, and talking to Frank Black, and he said, "Yeah, I had a friend. He wrote a book series about a freelance forensic profiler. Have you ever heard of such nonsense?" And he says, "What do you do for a living?" "I'm a freelance forensic profiler." Basically describing. They did another episode with that season where, hold on, am I going forward? Go forward. Oh, for the mic. No, too forward. They did an episode from the point of view of the demons, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And apparently these demons disguise themselves as old men that just go around making everybody's lives a little worse. For instance, he'll get a paper route and he'll destroy your bird feeder with the paper he throws on the paper route. They do all these little things. Or he goes up to the kid at the Dunkin' Donuts and starts saying, I'd like a cup of coffee and one of those apple curlers. Says, well, we just took the curlers out of the oven and we have decaf. Or I'm brewing a fresh pop. We have decaf ready. He says, why would anyone in their right mind want decaf? And I'm sort of nodding with the demon.
I have to kind of agree. Yeah, exactly.
And he gets the kid really angry that the kid, you see behind the counter, he basically pees in the guy's coffee after he gets the coffee. And then he yells and he says, this kid peed in my coffee. And then all the demons start laughing because he got the kid to do a bad thing. Do you understand? That's what they try to do. They're trying to get these things. It was an interesting episode. They said that one guy could see her, and Frank Black would show up in each of these segments. I think John Waters was in one of those segments as a serial killer.
Wow.
Too. Some guy in prison. It was just, they got great guests on this show. They had Kiss in an episode of season 3. This was another comedic episode where someone was making a Hollywood movie based off of one of Frank Black's early FBI cases, right? And they were calling it the Madman Maniac. And Frank Black was getting really angry, and he's saying he's read the script. This happened. He said, "There's heroism and intrigue in the facts. You don't have to be making stuff up for this case, for your movie." But it was kind of funny. And members of Kiss would play other characters in the episode. It was kind of funny. I don't know. And this was season 3, where Chris Carter came in and said, "Knock it off." So they dialed back some of the end time stuff, though it's still there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Millennium Group ends up becoming the villains in season 3, which threw me kind of for a loop because they weren't the villains up until this point, but they basically started describing them as a cult basically in season 3, and Frank Black's trying to get away from them and foil the things that they're doing. He did get a new what do I want to call this? Not sidekick, partner, I should say.
Right.
Young FBI agent Emma Hollis. I found out on the DVD they really had to fight to cast this actress because at the time, they studio networks, they wanted to give him like a long-legged blonde. They didn't actually want to give him a black actress on the show, and they said no, we want a black leading lady on the show. So they did that. She was played by Clea Scott. She had an interesting story arc this season too. Let's just say she makes the wrong decision for the right reason, but it kind of bites her. Like she does a sort of betrayal, but it to save her dad, and then her dad's like, because her dad had Alzheimer's and he gets cured, and he's like, you shouldn't have done what you did, and it's like deflated. I don't know if she would have been redeemed.
Good storytelling, though. That's how you tell good stories.
Well, she felt bad for her dad with the dementia, and the Millennium Group, they need her to do something, and they'll give her the cure, and he does it. And then when the dad gets it, he's like, the dad knew better. He's like, you shouldn't have done what you did. That was so I thought that was interesting. It was just a great show. Only 3 seasons, and it's like Twin Peaks. It's not any shows that I felt was cut out in its prime, and I wanted to see where it was going to go next. And
do you feel like narratively maybe a little ahead of its time too?
Yeah, Chris Carter was saying on the DVDs that what he saw with CSI later on, he said that's probably what Millennium should have been. These crime investigation shows that would, they'd solve the case using techniques. Because I feel that he was trying to create something like that, but didn't quite have a grasp on it yet. Like it was almost like a proto of one of those.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a great show. Unfortunately, Disney now owns it, so who knows if it'll ever see the light of day in any media or even on streaming. You can't find the streaming anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Good
annoying.
luck with that.
I did want to bring up one more point, though. The reoccurring villain, Lucy Butler. There's a scene in season 3 where Frank Black finally stands up to her, and he goes, "I'm not afraid of you." Okay, and he says that and means it. And then she says something to him. She says, "What about your daughter, Jordan? Aren't you afraid for her?" Ooh.
Yeah.
Basically, if I can't get to you, I'll get to your daughter. That's basically what she told him. I did want to bring up. I'm sorry, I'm rambling too much, but there was an episode in season 2, which was the Halloween episode, and at this point, his life's thrown on the rocks. Like him and his wife are separated. They do kind of get back together toward the end of the season 2, but and he's not feeling too good about his life, and it's on Halloween, and he keeps seeing like visages of demons. He turns on the radio and he hears this wonderful jazz song about a demon that and he can't get rid of this stuff.
Right.
And during the episode, you're getting flashbacks to his childhood when he went out trick-or-treating, I guess, during, like, the 50s, right? And he's going out trick-or-treating as a kid. And, he runs into this weird guy at this house who's, like, a World War II veteran, and he's smoking, and he says, I don't have anything for kids. Here, take this thing of smokes, and gives the smokes to this little kid, right?
Yeah.
And you find out later on this guy took his own life. You know what I mean? So, he's visited that night by a ghost, and it's the ghost of that guy he met as a kid that took his own life. And he basically tells Frank Black, and he's like, you know what they say about hell? How awful it is? It's so much worse. That's what he says.
Wow.
And then he talks to Frank, and he says to Frank Black, he says, I have a message from you, from my boss, or from the big man or something. Sit this one out. Just sit it out, and you and your family will be in a place where a lot of other souls wish they would be, because the time is now and there is no way he's going to lose. And he says it with conviction. And then I keep wondering, is Frank going to agree to this or not? And then Frank kind of turns his head and then he says, when does it start? And then the guy is vanished at that point, because I think he was trying to figure out if the end of the world's happening, when's it going to happen? But it was a very creepy scene because obviously he's talking about the devil. That's what he said.
Right, exactly.
And it was just remarkable for TV. I don't know how this ever got on the air to begin with. I guess because Chris Carter, because of the X-Files, and also because it was Fox, he got a lot of clout. I mean, you had one episode beginning with some serial killer looking at some guy eating in a diner, and then the next thing you see is the wife getting a package in the mail. She opens up, and it's the guy's tongue. So, I mean, it's just, this was a brilliant show, and I don't know. Yeah, it's I'm sad it's gone. But apparently there was a documentary about it, and the great Lance Henriksen was on this as well.
Absolutely.
All right. But if you ever get a chance to watch it, I do recommend it. It's worth seeing. And
I want to say welcome to Bone 305, who does remember watching the show when it was on air, but didn't remember it much. Well, we hope that this jogged your memory a little bit.
Well, that's the problem. It's lost media, and you can't get the DVDs. You can get season 2. Apparently, that one's easy to find. Seasons 1, not as easy, and season 3, forget about it. And I don't know. It's because Disney bought Fox, and another company might license it out to a company like Kino or somebody else to put it out, because I'm sure there'd be interest. But there's no. It's not on streaming. Some person wrote an article I wrote about this. You have to think about how hidden the show is at this point, that at this point it's out of spite. Because
possibly
maybe the network was angry about
it. And let's face it, Disney, not big on anything that's got any religious undertones to it. Or in this case, overt religious tones.
It did.
And Curtis,
but it would play with other religions too. Go ahead. Go.
Welcome, Curtis Selby, and thank you for the Tired Midnight Blogger rate.
Well, welcome. Glad to see you here. But that was Millennium. I call it the sister series to the X-Files. You do not have to watch the X-Files to watch the show as it is, though there are little in-jokes on the show, like one episode where they were doing some before and after self-help thing. It was obvious the picture was of David Duchovny's Fox Mulder looking sad and then looking happy, and the next, they would do little jokes in there, like he's walking around the FBI building and you see two agents walk past. You don't see their faces, you could tell it's probably supposed to be Mulder and Scully, but it's not really connected anyway. But anyway, there you go. And plus you get Kiss in season 3 doing the Psycho Circus, doing their Psycho Circus tour. That's it, though. That's Millennium. Heard there was going to be a feature-length documentary. There was a feature-length documentary on the making of Millennium, and it kind of reminds me of that one they did for Deep Space Nine. I haven't watched it because I'm kind of... I haven't watched it yet because I'm kind of... I'm worried it'll make me upset. That's why I haven't watched it. But they did do a documentary about the show. But saw the Psycho Circus tour in Pittsburgh. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that was what was the song they were singing on the show. That must have been the tour, which makes sense for Millennium because it's about psychos. But there you go.
True. First
story of the night. You excited?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's do it.
Theoretically, you could buy this Doom cartridge and play it on that little pocket system I got you.
Okay.
Or because these things work on those. Yes. This is Doom. I almost did a Good Old Days on Doom, but I think we've done Doom for Good Old Days, so I didn't.
I think we have. Yeah.
Doom is coming to Evercade. Evercade maker Blaze has announced it will bring the Doom series to the platform this year. So Evercade has become my new favorite game console. I don't know if I've explained to you what an Evercade is before, but it plays old school games and indie titles. That's what it does. It's not really for modern games unless they're modern games that were made using old consoles, basically.
Gotcha.
And it's operated out of England. This is an English company making it, but they do sell them all around the world. And I bought an Evercade Versus, and you buy these cartridges, and these cartridges usually have multiple games on it. Like I got a Tato cartridge that had Space Invaders, but had some other games on there as well, and sometimes these cartridges are just weird. I got one called the Llama Soft Collection.
Okay.
Do you know what Llama Soft is?
No idea.
I'd never heard of them either, and apparently, I think they're a bunch of Commodore 64 titles that maybe only came out in England.
Okay.
I got this cartridge of this, but now they're releasing Doom, and I'm really excited about this. So Doom is coming to the Evercade. The teaser shown below doesn't give much away, but it would be reasonable to expect a Doom collection showcasing at least the first 2 titles, which were originally released on PC and console back in the 90s. Created by id Software, Doom was one of the most famous first-person franchises of all time. Its most recent installment is 2025's Doom: The Dark Ages. So I'm very curious what this is going to be. Part of me thinks it's going to be the PlayStation 1 ports, because Doom was ported to consoles back in the day because all of us lowly console owners wanted Doom. And it was very hard to do Doom on console because consoles weren't powerful enough to run Doom. There was a version that came out for the Super Nintendo, which I suppose they argue that it's a miracle they got it working at all, but it's not the PC game. And they made one for the Sega 32X add-on. But apparently the PlayStation version was actually rather good, though, for the original PlayStation. It ran pretty good for a home console release. So I don't know if it's going to be that. Maybe they'll just recreate it specifically for the Evercade. I don't know, but I'm excited and I'm curious. And I'm sorry, I got to be excited about some things.
Yes.
Does anyone care? Does anybody own an Evercade? I have to look into it for the future. Yeah, thank you.
I would not begrudge you a little bit of joy over something in entertainment.
In gaming, at least, yeah. If you want deleted scenes, I think you can get the base console for $119, $130, or you can even buy one of the Super Pockets, which has games on it, and those and you can actually play the Evercade cartridges on that as well. Because I got Troy a Atari one the other year, right. And I think a Tato one. But you can always try getting a Super Pocket first, see if you like it, and then you'll decide if you want to buy into this infrastructure. The only problem with Evercade is the cartridges come out and then they become hard to find after a few weeks because they're only priced at $30. So
wow,
you can pick one up, and sometimes they're available. Sometimes you have to go around to multiple sites. Like I might get one from Best Buy, I might get one from Amazon, might look on eBay to see who's selling them. It doesn't matter though if it's a British version of the cartridge or an American version; they play the same. So there's at least that. They're not really different. So that's good. Anyway, Doom. So I can play Doom on a non-Nintendo Switch PC, PlayStation, or Xbox. I can play it on Evercade sometime this year, and I love me some Doom. But anyway, okay. Moving on. Oh well, here we go.
Yeah.
And this is what I like about the Evercade, because the Evercade may be all this old school games and indie titles, but it's no BS. And
yeah.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me bring my thing up. Propaganda in my block game. Netizens blast Minecraft for pro-social justice protest update. Keep in mind that when they say pro-social justice, when you go to the official Minecraft site for this, they talk specifically about social justice and the talking points for this.
Exactly.
Like we're not mincing. They're not mincing words here.
Let's be very clear. I don't care if they are proselytizing some political opinion that you happen to agree with. Nobody wants proselytizing in games. Okay, I don't care if it's your politics, your identity politics, your religion. I don't care. It doesn't belong in these games.
You know what kills me? The guy that originally created Minecraft, he sold it to Microsoft, but he's definitely more on the right in his politics.
Sure.
I think he even contributed to Smash JT's defense fund.
Oh.
But of course, he doesn't own Minecraft anymore. He sold it for a huge amount of money. But downloadable update to the popular Minecraft video game that encouraged players to participate in social justice protests has resurfaced, and social media users are livid amid Black History Month and the ongoing anti-United States immigration and customs enforcement protests. The official Minecraft X account posted about the free lessons in good trouble. So this is updates. You can download this for free on Monday afternoon. Atlanta developers Felissa Ford and Natasha Raquel launched Lessons in Good Trouble in 2020, and Minecraft issued an updated release last year. The DLC allows players to participate in various social justice movements in the United States and internationally, ranging from the civil rights movement to Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent protest. John Lewis, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Emmeline Pankhurst are among the other notable civil rights figures in the DLC. From the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma to the streets of modern-day protest, Lessons in Good Trouble allows young people to experience firsthand how peaceful resistance can transform the world, Minecraft's official website reads. And the reference to modern-day protests drew fire backlash on social media, with users blasting the game and accusing it of encouraging violence. Although Minecraft promoted the DLC on Monday, there is no indication that the game has been updated to include content such as anti-ICE protests. Yes, but it does heavily mention the BLM movement in it, from what I heard. Gameplay. Right. In fact, let me read this. Gameplay footage line includes clear references to the Black Lives Matter movement, including an external link to its website, as an in-game activist also mentions how BLM was created to seek justice following the acquittal of the person who killed teenager Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman, a volunteer neighborhood watch member, shot Martin in February 2012. And what Zimmerman claimed was self-defense. Let's see. Bring back Super Mario. An ex-user commented, "Why are politics and sex being injected into everything kids do now? We will soon have a population of youth who will only view the world through an activist lens."
Yep.
So, yeah.
Tree Rock Creation says, what's the difference between entertainment and politics? Nothing nowadays. In other words, we don't have entertainment nowadays. And welcome Logical Spark. He says hi and good evening. Welcome. And welcome also Sashi over there on the other side of the international date line. Good to see you, my friend.
Well, welcome, Sashi. Good to see you again. So, yeah, this is Minecraft. As you know, Minecraft is a very popular computer game, also on consoles with children. The Minecraft movie did huge box office last year. But this feels like pure propaganda to me.
Absolutely.
It's free, but I don't know. Can't the kids just be allowed to play their block game?
I know. I know. It tells you something when they keep trying to inject adult bedroom behaviors into child's entertainment. And in fact, we're going to be getting to that a little bit more in upcoming.
Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and get into this.
Yeah.
I thought about covering this last week, but I'm like I need time to process this. So here we are.
Right.
Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream will allow same-sex relationships and non-binary me's.
Oh boy.
Tamagotchi Life fans have a lot to celebrate today, along with a re-release date for Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream. Nintendo has confirmed that players will be able to create non-binary me's in the new game, and they'll be able to select dating preferences for their characters. This was all confirmed in today's Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream Nintendo Direct, and in a game where customization creation is off the charts, more gender relationship options should be a given. It should have been a given in 2013, but Nintendo is making up for this time around. Keep in mind that I think I'm reading from a pro article, but they have details in here explaining how we got here. So now when creating your me, you'll be able to select from 3 genders, male, female, and non-binary. I really would like to ask someone at Nintendo, what do they mean by non-binary? Do they know what it means?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can also select your me's dating preferences, again, between the 3 gender options. So I only prefer to date non-binary, I guess. Okay, you can select one, more than one, or none of them. Essentially, you can date whoever you want, or none at all, catering to gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, aromantic, asexual, and all sorts of LGBTQIA+ relationships. This is
Those are all made up.
Well, anyway, this is a huge win for many fans of the Tamagotchi Life on the 3DS. So this was years ago. We're going to time travel, which drew criticism back when it was released in Japan in 2013. Initially, a bug appeared to allow same-sex relationships in the game, which Nintendo later patched out. So Nintendo said, "Oh, that thing in the game where that was a glitch. It really was a glitch," and they patched it. And then the activists got furious and they said, "Nintendo is saying being gay is a glitch."
Oh,
they were saying that, yes, and Nintendo followed up patch with some clarifications, but fans were understandably still unhappy that the option to date whoever they wanted wasn't available. This prompted the MeQuality social media campaign ahead of the game's Western release, with Nintendo America addressing the controversy shortly after. Then 2 days later, the company issued an apology stating, "If we create a next installment in the Tamagotchi series, we will strive to design a gameplay experience from the ground up that is more exclusive and better represents all players." Now, they didn't have their original the original response, which was, "We don't really get involved in politics and stuff that they base or social issues." I think they said, and that's what was their original response. People were complaining about the fact they patched that out. That's not really what we're about. But then they caved to the mob a couple days later,
of course,
with this. But I kind of figured, well, who knows when we're going to get another Tamagotchi Life game. I didn't buy it myself because I hate me's. I hate the Wii era. I hate the creating of the me's and all that. I know people love that stuff. That was not... That actually got me mad at Nintendo for a while, the Wii era, but that's a topic for another time. You'll notice I've never brought the Wii up on good old days. Given today's Nintendo Direct, it seems like developers have stuck to their promise, which is fantastic to see. Now we can all spend our time with Hugh Morris however we want, romantically or not. Okay, well, here we are. So, oh, wait a minute. In an ideal world, this news would be a non-story in 2026, but we've taken the decision to disable comments on this article.
Right.
Where was this from? Bear with me. This is Polygon. No, this was Nintendo Life that did this. I didn't think Nintendo Life was... Okay, well, here we are. So, Nintendo has basically, in my opinion, crossed a Rubicon here.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that there were never woke people working at Nintendo or they didn't try to slip little things in the games here and there, but this is a full-on crossover.
There is, here. I don't care about your worldview or your personal view or anything. There is no reason to be sharing adult bedroom activity options in a kid's game. And I mean, simple, vanilla, straight stuff too.
Yeah, this is a E-rated title too. The Animal, for instance, this problem doesn't come up in Animal Crossing because there aren't relationships in Animal Crossing. You're hanging out with animals.
I hope not. And then you're getting into bestiality.
Well, give it time, man. Maybe that'll be the next step next time around.
Oh, for frack's sake!
I'm terrified they're going to be Well, we'll see if they're going to end up being predators on this thing.
Look,
too, I don't know.
They just have to keep defining deviancy down, and anything goes.
Tired Midnight Blog. Why is there day in it all? I don't know. It may harken back to the days of Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon was a Super Nintendo game that came out back in the 90s. I actually do have a cartridge of it, which is considering it's a rare cartridge, but that became a series. And it was one of the first of these life sims. Not quite like the computer sims, but it was like it was a game where you basically ran a farm.
Yeah.
And at some point in the game, you can try to woo one of the five ladies in town. Okay, you can marry one of them and have a family. That was what it was. And I don't think Harvest Moon or whatever deals with it now has gone there. I know they've done other farming sims since then by other companies. I think Stardew Valley is a very popular one, which it may offer same-sex things in there too. I don't know. I'm just surprised that Nintendo has gone down this route now, and I can't say there's no gray area here. This is a woke move.
Yep.
So here we are, and I think Nintendo's biggest problem is they're pricing people out of owning their hardware. So maybe this is just as well. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get any clapback from this, or if it's just going to. I don't know. It is a kids game though. This is E-rated, EE for everyone, which doesn't surprise me because Nintendo, I think, are the ones that created the ESRB board to begin with, so they have pull in there. So
yep.
I don't know. Okay. Heads up though, if your kid wants Tamagotchi life, you just better be aware of what's in it.
Yeah.
Because if it's an E-rated game, parents will buy it unseen because they think it's Nintendo. Nintendo has up to this point been a fairly wholesome company, at least with the games that are E-rated. So
yep. Now we've
entered into territory.
Disneying themselves.
I don't even know what that means. I just okay. All right, moving on. But I picked this. I decided to run with this article after I saw the Minecraft article because I'm like, these are two instances. One is the political activism thing in Minecraft, and now you have this non-binary stuff in the Tamagotchi life. So here we are. So okay, moving on to Hasbro.
Okay, let's get into this.
Okay, it's a long article, so I don't think I'll be able to read the whole thing, but let me just get through it. Hold on. All right. Investor lawsuit claims Hasbro overprinted Magic the Gathering cards to plug revenue gaps elsewhere. In November 2025, two U.S. retirement funds filed an updated version of their ongoing class action lawsuit against Hasbro, alleging that Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, former Wizards president Cynthia Williams, and Hasbro itself misled investors about the printing strategy for Magic the Gathering. The suit includes claims that made by an anonymous former vice president of Wizards of the Coast, which laid the blame for many controversial Magic products squarely at Chris Cox's feet, alleging that under his direction, Hasbro used Magic cards as a cash cow and printed increasing numbers of sets at the risk of harm to the value of the Magic brand. The acceleration of Magic the Gathering releases since 2019, the relentless release of Secret Layers, price hikes on Masters booster packs, reprinted sets like Innistrad Double Feature, and even the $999 Magic at 30th Anniversary booster packs. This lawsuit claims they're all the result of a strategy that Cox allegedly promoted of parachuting in rapidly manufactured Magic the Gathering sets to cover for lower than expected revenues elsewhere in Hasbro. I wonder if those where do you think those revenues that were lower came from? Do you think some of the Star Wars toys they were trying to sell?
There's a lot of ways to go with this because we're getting into gaming, we're getting into the Magic cards. What I'm going to say is, and maybe I'm getting a little ahead of you here, but my whole take on the whole concept of these collectible card games is stop screwing around with them. Okay. You are not making any extra money off of this stupidity. You are actually making it possible for scalpers to make money and get rich. And you're pissing off your fans, and you're losing market share as a result. Just release the cards. If they sell out, release more cards. If it's a rare card, make it less rare. The more money you make, the better for you and your shareholders.
Isn't it interesting how a lot of the prominent voices in the community, they all come from different sides of fandoms? And I think the quartering came out of Magic the Gathering. He was a Magic the Gathering tournament guy before he got
Gotcha.
his career got wrecked there by allegations or something. Anyway, but the 86-page lawsuit alleges that beginning during the Fun Cox tenure as Wizards president 2016 and up to October 26, 2023, Hasbro printed ever greater numbers of Magic sets for the purpose of generating short-term cash to make up for revenue shortfalls elsewhere within the company. The suit's introductory section claims this was known internally as the parachute strategy and allegedly involved releasing specific Magic sets that could be thrown together at low cost and on short timelines for the explicit purpose of compensating revenue shortfalls in other Hasbro divisions. So if I'm reading this right, you're a Magic the Gathering collector. You buy these cards because they're supposedly rare, right? You might get a rare card, and then you think you've gotten these wonderful finds until you realize,
It depends on what kind of a collector you are, okay? There are some collectors that collect, yes, they're chasing the rares. They got to catch them all. They got to, put them in, and they never play the game. There are the other ones that definitely want these cards because they're playing the games, they're going to tournaments and so forth. But still, they're chasing the rares for the same reason. Those are the best cards. That's a real trump card to pull out during your,
like you get a magic weapon or something, right?
Yeah. It's a big baboom, game winner.
Okay. Lawsuit includes statements from several anonymous alleged former employees designated FEs to support its claims. The main source, FEI, supposedly served in roles related to Magic research, design, and creative direction from July 27 to 2021 before becoming Wizards VP until they left the company. I assume they is to keep the sex.
No, apparently it's one person that identifies as more than one.
Well, there we go. Anyway, in this role, the suit says they were part of Hasbro's extended leadership team, met regularly, and reported to Cynthia Williams, worked closely with other Hasbro executives, including Wizards Senior Vice President for Magic, Bill Rose. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Lost my spot here. But FEI alleges that Wizards of the Coast created specific Magic SKUs, sets of cards that could be quickly manufactured and dropped to market to make between 40 and 80 million in the event of a revenue shortfall elsewhere within the company. Something FEI says they remember Bill Rose calling Project Parachute. Okay. So the lawsuit notes that Wizards of the Coast rate of releasing reprint sets increased dramatically during Cox and Williams back to tenures as Wizards president from June 2016, April 24th. Yes, so FEI asserts that the suit that in general Bill Rose was okay, hold on. According to FEI, the alleged parachuting started before Chris Cox was CEO. The lawsuit says FEI recalls Hasbro former CEO would tell defendant Cox that, for example, Hasbro needed $80 million in additional revenue because something else within the company had flopped. Okay, so it sounds like that we're just getting a lot of repeats of what this is. Though.
Well, and maybe I'm projecting a little too much onto this, but I also think that there's some consternation finally with Chris Cox, who is, let's just say he's well named, okay, in my opinion. So
you don't do the Magic the Gathering stuff, but I guess this Chris Cox fellow was ruining the stuff that you were interested in, right?
Oh yeah, he ruins everything he touches. He's Hasbro, and that's Star Wars toys. That's D&D now. Yeah, it's yeah.
I forgot they took over D&D.
Even areas of toys that I'm not even interested in. Go check out Michael French over at Retro Blasting has done plenty of videos about Hasbro and the so-called Hasbros, the fanatic fans that will defend Hasbro, reaching into our pockets and, stripping us bare and say, yes, thank you, Daddy. Do it more. Do it more.
Well, it's funny because there was complaint by some Magic players that Hasbro was printing on cheaper card stock, and they could tell.
Star Wars fans did the same thing about the card backs of the because keep in mind, just like I was saying, there's different kinds of collectors. The action figure market has different kinds of collectors too. Some will open them to put them into dioramas and display them, which is mostly what I do as well. Others are, nope, I got to have them neat in package to hang on my walls, which sometimes I do until I get around to opening them. Everyone does it a little bit differently. And you need to, if you want to sell as much as you possibly can, you need to be aware of that, you know, and, you know, one of the channels I follow is Bosk's Bounty, and he's got his particular way of collecting and displaying them, and he talks about other people as well, and saying, yeah, you know, if they do this, they're going to tick off this, you know, type of collector. If they do this, they're going to tick off that kind of collector. What they really should do, there's always a middle ground where, believe it or not, you can kind of make everybody happy. But, you know, it's almost like these companies don't really want to make money. They just really want to piss people off, which makes zero sense. But, I mean, I'm just looking at, you know, reality, what I actually see. You know,
when did this change happen?
I think there was always this element in corporate America. There's this idea of the golden parachute, protect your own, fail upward.
But I remember back when I was growing up, you would buy a quality product, and if that product wasn't any good, you'd either try to return it, or at the very least, I'm done buying from this company. So I think that there was an understanding that as a company, you had to release quality products, or you would lose the customer.
Right. There's two elements there. There's one is that the corporate entities have done a great job of teaching the consumer to be happier with less, and to just suck it up and bear it, and, you know, this is just how it is, buttercup. And not enough will for people to push back and say, you know what, I am not going to spend money on. I don't even remember what the problem was, but Sears, back when Sears was a thing, did something that really pissed my mom off, and she said, I am never going to Sears again. And sure enough, she never went to Sears again. And I kind of never did either, because I felt no reason to do so. I didn't have any soft, warm fuzzies for them. And so what they really lost was, they lost a customer. They lost the next generation of customer as well. And guess, well, where is Sears now? You know,
the lights are off.
Exactly.
No one's there.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. But if you think back in the day, the Sears catalog was this huge thing, like historically, American speaking. And then you get new people running these companies.
Yeah, and before anyone starts saying, well, you know, now it's all online and blah 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 and this and that, there is always a way to keep up with things. They could have pivoted into some sort of online catalog kind of experience to keep it alive if they had good marketing. Well, they didn't even have the business to keep them going any longer, so what's the difference?
Here's another thing too. I noticed something, and I'm not trying to throw shade at any particular generations, but I maybe you're just isolated cases, but I remember if I would buy a piece of electronics and something was busted in it, you don't whine, you don't complain, you pack that thing up, you bring it back to the store, say, give me another one or give me my money back, period. You don't bring it home and you don't whine about it, or that because I remember someone was reviewing some PlayStation thing they bought and there was something broken in it. Oh, I don't know what to do. It's like, if you bought that from retail, brand new, you bring it back to the store and you get a replacement.
Exactly.
Or you could also, or contact Sony itself. But if you bought it like that, we bring it back to the store.
So what you're suggesting is people just got lazy.
They got lazy, or they got, or they feel like, oh, do I have a right? Can I actually do this? I think people, maybe they forgot that as a customer they have power, and then maybe that's the difference between a customer and a consumer.
True.
You know, consumers just have to consume, and I'm not.
Well,
we need to get back. Yeah.
It with the toy market, with the collectors and so forth, it is like freaking addicts, right? You know, just plug it into my vein, and I swear these toy companies are more than eager to do that. We were talking about this with the Dungeons & Dragons thing, where they wanted to get away from releasing books, and you had to have a subscription to their online thing. And if you didn't keep your subscription up, you lost access to everything, all your characters, all your maps, all of your D&D.
Yep.
And generations of gamers were like, screw you, I don't need anything from you ever again.
Did I tell you what happened? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
Did I tell you what happened to me with Audible, the Amazon company?
So.
Audible used to be I don't want to say it's like a subscription service, like you pay $15 a month and you get one credit, you can get an audiobook. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you sign up, you get like 2 free audiobooks or something, and then and I would subscribe to Audible, and sometimes I drop out of it and then go back in. But you got to keep the books you purchased. You understand? You got to keep the Audible books. And then Audible changed this thing saying, well, no, if you cancel your subscription, you lose access to all those Audible books you purchased. And I'm like, yeah, but I purchased those. Or you have another alternative thing to do. You could take a 3-month break and then come back to Audible. And I decided last year, well, I'm probably going to try to download all these books so I have them on my hard drive, and then I'll think about whether or not I'm even going to stick with this service anymore. So I waited the 3 months. I go back in. One of the books I had purchased, apparently it was a Black Mask. They were like a pulp magazine volume. Sure. It wasn't on there anymore. I'm like, well, let me see if I can re-download it. Then I found out it's not on the service anymore. And I'm like, but wait a minute. I purchased this. Do you understand? It's like this. I thought I was purchasing this, and I realized there's probably fine print that I didn't really purchase any of those. And so I was done with Audible. I downloaded all my books. And
if only you had a friend who had told you should really own physical media.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Audiobooks are a pain in the butt to own physically. Okay. Plus, you could download them into MP3 files, so you can still store them. So they had that going for it. It wasn't like digital movies.
Welcome, Robert's Infinite Realms. He says, what's up, party people? This magic lawsuit is crazy. Wallace Lang says, I hated the most about Sears was their practice of rebranding for the Atari 2600 VCS game console was called the Sears Telegames Video Arcade. Now,
are you kidding
I get
me?
why you say that, Wallace, but I will say this. Looking back on it, I see that as being comparable to when you go to the grocery store and you have your option of buying, and I'm picking this brand specifically, Kellogg's Raisin Bran, or like the store generic Raisin Bran. It's basically the same, maybe not exactly the same, but it's a little bit cheaper and a little bit more budget friendly for someone that maybe can't justify what they're spending. And I felt that way because I felt the squeeze when it came to games and when it came to toys and whatnot. I've talked about this again in response to Star Wars. I never got the 12-inch figures. I never got the micro because I had to choose. There was only so many toys that I could get. That's also why I didn't get into G.I. Joe later on and a bunch of other things, because you had to, if you were going to go to mom and dad and say, I'd like to get this, you can't go, I want to get this and this and this and this. And you had to limit yourself. So if you could economize and go, Sears has a cheap off-brand version of Space Invaders, although that does kind of fall into the meme of, well, we have Space Invaders at home. The Space Invaders you have at home is the Sears knockoff, right?
That's funny. That might be a topic for a Friday stream.
I think so.
How we afforded things as kids.
Absolutely. Might be a lot of fun. Yes. Robert's Infinite Realm says D&D just needs pencil and paper. They tried to digitize the wrong medium. I would say, I agree with the principle of what you're saying, Robert. The once you had the main rule books, you didn't need anything else. Functionally, all you needed was a Dungeon Master Guide, the Player's Handbook, and preferably every player had their own player's handbook, and the monster manual. That's it. From that guideline, you could make up your own monsters, you could make up your own adventures, you could do everything yourself. If you chose to go out there and buy the modules that included new monsters and things like that, campaign settings, whatever, you could, but you didn't have to. But you're absolutely right. Once you've got the bare basics, you don't need anything else. Hell, even when it comes to dice, you don't have to get them from Hasbro. Now everybody's making dice. Nowadays, I'm seeing videos on YouTube, people making their own custom dice.
Do you know they should have ended Stranger Things? It should have ended with us like a Pinkerton knocking on the door after their D&D game saying, it looks like what you have there is a photograph of some Dragon magazine. You didn't actually pay for that, did you? You for some other kid at school, you photocopied it. No, I'm sorry, you're going to jail.
As funny as that is, I'm sure that the Duffers did not want to, because they had a good relationship
with Wizards. I know.
There was a good synergy they didn't want to ruin. But yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Naturally, they have to have their last D&D villain be Strahd, right?
Yeah.
It was a big one.
Well, okay, that is a great point. Maybe buying it at JCPenney and Kmart was cheaper than getting it at Sears. That's another point against Sears. So, yeah, good point.
This might be interesting to talk about sometime. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we do things without the internet? How do we plan purchases without the internet? That might be an idea.
And see, this is one of the things we talk about a lot on a lot of the toy channels.
Yes.
Is the fact that there was a lot of even Michael at Retro Blasting has brought this. You know what's even worse? Poor Tony over at Analog Toys. He was overseas, and he oftentimes didn't know about certain G.I. Joe releases until many, many years later, after things were no longer available. And how did he find out? He found out because it's now the internet age.
Yeah, well, the internet opened up things that we never knew existed, right?
True. Like, all these multiple genders that didn't exist before.
I don't know, man. I was learning about things about cults, which I didn't know existed. I'm like, wow, this is disturbing.
No, I learned about that before the internet because you had Mazes and Monsters. Rona Jaffe, and those chick little comics that were handed out by whoever it was.
Jack Chick comics, yes, you still run into those every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare. The funniest Jack Chick comic I have to tell you was one where I read this on a blog somewhere, and it's like of a D&D game, right?
Yeah.
And like they're like the kids are playing D&D, and like the one girl I think decides to off herself but like this one girl, she shows up in a black robe, and one guy wrote in the comments, "Where were all the hot satanic chicks at my D&D game?" It was
right. Well, and that's just it. It's another one of those completely missing reality.
I know. Yes.
Do you you could make a perfectly fine argument that a role-playing game being played by someone who's got dubious grasp on reality to begin with could definitely have some problems, but I don't think the game is the problem.
No,
I think it's the mental health that really is an issue there.
Well, it's like anything. People can become addicted to a lot of different things that are probably benign if handled properly. There was an episode of Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which I'm really going back in time for you, but one of the episodes was Jerry, Portrait of a Video Game Addict, and it was all about him being addicted to video games, and then he has to go to like a Video Games Anonymous group, and he was saying, it all started with Pac-Man, and it was just...
we laugh about that, but the reality is we're kind of learning more and more that, the whole dopamine hit thing is very, very real. And things like just social media are becoming addictive to people. Every time someone likes one of your comments and and even when they some troll is hating on you online, still you get all excited and you're typing back and you get all worked up about it, and it's addictive behavior. That's a real problem, and kind of also another reason why you need to keep your kids off the interwebs.
There needs to be supervision, yes. Parental supervision. The internet is not a toy. You shouldn't leave your kids unsupervised on it. I think I was lucky in the fact that I didn't really get access to the internet until I was 18 and out of high school. That was when I first got access to it.
Well, it hurts me that you're asking this question. I feel like I haven't been talking enough about toys on my channel. I absolutely know about these Etsy stores, but sadly for the Etsy stores, I don't frequent them usually because I make my own. I've got custom. Maybe we need to do that. We got to do another toy stream on a Friday night, and I'll show off some of my custom toys because as they say, the fans are doing the best work. Especially in this crafting era with 3D printers and color printers and so many options available to you, people are making such great stuff, and by the time Hasbro gets around to putting out your Grogu action figure, well, I don't need it. I already got my own handcrafted one. That's probably better because he doesn't come in multiple sizes in the same scale. Just saying.
Well, but that would have been a Hasbro issue, right?
I love that Canadian Spider-Man drops the brown mumbler and the channel logo because he's a channel member and he's awesome. And I like to imagine when someone drops the brown mumbler that maybe they're having a drink tonight and they're kind of chilling out. Dopamine is rough with toys and comic collecting. Yeah. Well, collecting has always been that way. There is that element of, and look, I'm just going to say it, collectors, be honest with yourself. Do you remember a time when you used to go out and find your query in the wild? That was a dopamine hit. You find it on eBay and you're like, okay, I'm going to get it. Yay, I'm excited. But you're not as excited as if you'd seen it in the wild. This is something that I think the toy companies and the collectors companies are missing because they are starting to move to this. Anyone can get anything directly from them, and they're not getting the same kind of dopamine hit that they were when they could find it in the wild, so to speak.
Exactly. I remember finding...
I'm not sure what, because there could be a number of things you were referring to, David Jones, when you say I know, but it's true. It's true. Whatever it is.
Is that a picture of Linda Carter?
I don't think so. I think that's it is not Linda Carter. That looks like a newscaster or something.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Let us know who your icon is there, David Jones.
Moving on, we got more news to cover, and I want to end this. Oh no.
I am shocked that we're actually, and you got to be look, I should have warned you at the beginning of the stream.
Can I not even mention his name?
Yeah, so just like the guy that headed up the National Socialists in Germany back in the 30s is often referred to as Mustache Man, YouTubers are taking to referring to this guy as Island Man.
Hi, okay, Island Man here. So, latest set of documents for Island Man released in relation to the investigation into Island Man, who died in prison, I'm sure of natural causes, while waiting trial.
Actually, there's been some updated news about that. I have said it many times before. The universal truth number one is Island Man did not self-delete, and now it looks like the reports in those documents that were released are implying that was true. So once again, folks, Troy was right.
Was there a funeral for him? I should do research into this.
I'm not saying that he's still in the world with us. I'm saying he didn't remove himself from the world.
Okay. On December 19th, 2013, Island Man received an email from Microsoft via his personal address informing him that he had been banned from Xbox Live, now replaced by the Game Pass service. Xbox Live was a subscription service required to play online multiplayer games in the Xbox 360. You don't say. At the time, the big multiplayer games included Grand Theft Auto 5, Call of Duty Ghosts, FIFA 14, and Battlefield 4. It is unknown if FC had been playing all of these games or what his online username was. What we do know... I said someone's name. Anyway, what we do know is that Microsoft...
you might have been referring to Juan Epstein, the Puerto Rican Jew who was a sweat hog back in the 70s.
Yeah. There you go. So what we know is Microsoft banned him for harassment.
Honestly, when all of this started and they were talking about, so-and-so did and such, I thought they were talking about Juan Epstein. Exactly. And I'm like, wait, what? And I looked him up and I'm like, he's still alive? What's he talking about?
Exactly.
Because if he wasn't, we would be doing an in remembrance for him.
But apparently it's that Microsoft banned him for harassment, threats, and abuse of other players. Described the conduct as severe, repeated, or excessive. That language appears to come from a standard enforcement notice by Microsoft sent to ban users and did not include details specific to Island Man. The second email sent later the same...
I take that back. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. Robert Haggis is no longer with us. He passed in 2012.
Okay.
I just want to give people their just due, I mean, because I have fond memories of it. I had his action figure.
Anyway.
They made Mego figures of all the Sweat Hogs and Gabe Kaplan.
I'm not going to spend too much time on this article, but I just thought it was funny that in the midst of all of this stuff coming out from the Justice Department, is that he was banned from Xbox for apparently being worse than some 10-year-old kids using expletives.
Which I find ironic because, we've just been talking about, why are they injecting, adult things into children's things and,
Do you think you were screaming at kids on this thing or something, just yelling at them?
I don't know. I can't imagine. It's not really clear from what we're reading here what the case was, but it's like
how bad. I bet it was bad.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Disney's Bob Iger, early Exodus CEO, is suspicious. Even if the media
you could have left the previous picture up because it's potentially related. Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we won't. Like I said, I'll be careful. I'll choose my words wisely.
Be very careful. Yeah.
Bob Iger was supposed to be the CEO of Walt Disney Company until the end of his contract, December of 2026. Thus, his replacer would be announced in the first half of the year. Apprentice under Iger, and then the transition of power occurs so that the new head honcho of the House of Mouse would be ready for a fresh start in 2027. Only that didn't happen. And though the media seems reluctant to touch on whatever took place behind the scenes, signs point to rapid movement to get rid of Bob Iger that unfolded over the last few weeks. Once again, Disney has initiated succession plan that is going anything but according to plan. After it was only less than a week ago that Bob Iger gave us some foreshadowing that he might be stepping aside sometime before December. But that had analysts believing that we were talking about November, maybe October. Nobody thought it meant Bob Iger would exit his position of CEO in a month. And barring an undisclosed health situation, this is an extraordinarily bizarre behavior for a corporation such as Disney. Well, I don't know. They kind of ousted Chapek quickly. But
that became very clear what was happening there. He was being used as a scapegoat.
Right.
And there was really no question about that. That's not speculation. That was obvious.
Let's see. One theory for the flurry of get rid of Iger that appears to have grasped the board's immediate attention was that within the same 24-hour period, we started hearing Iger would sit down. We also found out that Bob Iger was named an important Department of Justice filings regarding an unproven allegation he attempted to quash investigations into massive corruption involving some of the most influential people on the planet, living and dead. A few websites were quick to come to Iger's defense, claiming that this was all an elaborate, inappropriate dragnet put into the public haphazardly, and an innocent Disney CEO was listed within a lot of muck and yuck for the public to misunderstand. but other notes that some of the details seem to match up with bizarre reports even out of ABC News, and it's hard to square how some of the claims in the paperwork lined up with what was happening at ABC News even before it should have been public knowledge. So putting aside any claims of guilt or inappropriate activity, did the board get wind of this coming out and decided it was time to quickly part ways with for optics alone? Are we going to be finding something out about Iger in the weeks after he's gotten rid of?
I have not been able to go through all the files that were released, but there's a lot of names in those files. A lot of people that were so certain about certain people's names being in it are now, and having said all kinds of very bold things about it, it's now coming out that their names were in it. I can't.
Well, a lot of people's names are in those files. It's
Let's
surprising.
put it this way: about half the clucking hens over on The View are mentioned in those files, and Whoopi Goldberg has the most mentions. Now, that is not saying that Whoopi Goldberg was particularly guilty of anything. Nobody who is mentioned in those files is necessarily guilty of anything. That just means that Island Man and the people he was communicating with was obsessed with talking about those people. That doesn't mean they're guilty of anything. It just means he didn't like them, or did like them. I don't know. Either way.
Do you think if Island Man had shown up on the show Millennium that Frank Black wouldn't have seen him? He would have seen a demon instead. I'm just saying.
I've seen that interview with him, and they said, and he was asked, some people think you're the devil. Do you think you're the devil? His answer was strange. Let's just say that.
So if that island was Survivor, he would have been voted off the island?
No, he owned the island. That was the thing. It was an island you did not want to go to. Well, most people don't want to.
Normal Americans, normal people would not go to
normal
this
people with any level of morality didn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Which I believe most Americans are.
Well,
I think we hear about,
and it's kind of coming out. Some of what I'm seeing in some of these files are like, I heard he's got these really wild parties there. I'm kind of interested. Oh, that's what you mean by wild parties? No, I don't want anything to do with that. No.
This is telling you, eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
Might have been a documentary.
That was not. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. We'll keep an eye on this. Thank you, WW Pro, for sharing this with the world. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh no. Paramount. Why do I think anything's going to change? I keep. Paramount Pictures has signed director producer Dan Trachtenberg to a 3-year first look directing and producing deal with the studio. As a kid, I remember seeing the Paramount logo and dreaming of the epic adventure that would follow. Now to have the opportunity to bring new, huge, and emotional stories to giant screens is literally a dream come true, Trachtenberg said. Ben and I cannot wait to join Dana, Josh, Don, and the entire Paramount team in pursuing our shared vision of making Paramount once again the apex of cinema. Under the deal, Trachtenberg would develop, direct, and produce feature projects with his producing partner, Ben Rosenblatt. Dan has an extraordinary ability to deliver films that are both daring and deeply entertaining, if you say so. He has a rare instinct for tension, scale, storytelling that connects with audiences worldwide. This marks a big reunion for the two after Trachtenberg launched his career at Paramount in 2016 hit movie 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was a good movie. Okay, I did like 10 Cloverfield Lane. Did you see it?
Yeah, I wish they hadn't tied it to Cloverfield, but yes. I
ignore that. I just treat it as its own animal.
Yeah.
I please Cloverfield, because I like the John Goodman performance in that.
Oh,
and even though Abrams was involved, it didn't bother me like it was when he was served as producer of these. I actually thought that was a decent little thriller horror flick, but I liked it. The tagline for the movie was "Monsters come in many forms," because of course you have the weird possible alien invasion happening outside on the surface, but then you have John Goodman's
being a monster in that one.
Basically, and he was
kind of like Island Man. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Trachtenberg was most recently directed Predator: Badlands for 20th Century, which was a critical and commercial success. I've heard it's not been a commercial success. but maybe
they're going to spin it how they're going to spin it. I just,
he previously directed Prey, which was his first reimagining the Predator franchise about a young Comanche woman who had to hunt down a predator in order to save her community.
I did not hear good things about that.
This does not. I'm telling you. I remember. I wish I could give the one YouTuber credit. I think his name is Mannix, but his review was, "If you liked Predator Badlands, I hate you." That was his review. Like he's like if you saw this movie, liked it, I hate you. That was his review for that movie. Yeah. In addition to co-producing 10 Cloverfield, Ben Rosenblatt was a producer of Snowpiercer and Ripley's series, in addition to producing Trachtenberg's Predator franchise films. Okay. Trachtenberg is rep by CEA United. I don't have a good feeling about this. I think this is another J.J. Abrams in like 2.0. That's what this reminds me of. Bray was great in my opinion, Big Al. Okay, well, you're welcome to like it. I heard more about Badlands though, and I don't like them taking warrior races and then us trying to introduce the sensitive sides. Stop that. Like with the Klingons. Stop it. They're warrior races.
Exactly.
The Predators were interesting in the fact that even though they were this horrible alien enemy race, at least if you watch Predator 2, you get the idea that on some level there is a sense of honor in them.
Right.
Like I think when Danny Glover finally kills the Predator and he's on that ship, you think the other Predators are going to kill him, and they give him a trophy instead. They give him an old flintlock pistol, which also gave the impression that these Predators have been visiting Earth for a while.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they gave him I was okay, no, you actually beat this guy fair and square, so you want to, like, you can get off the ship now. They weren't going to kill him, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, but
I want to say hi to Pit Snipe Husker, who said, "I am not in those files, I swear." I said, "I had no reason to think you were until now."
Yes. Predator 2. I often wondered if Bill Paxton's character in Predator 2 was a ancestor of his character in Aliens. That would have been kind of funny,
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of had a similar personalities. Just, I don't know.
Exactly.
Flintlock plays a role in Prey. Because everything has to be tied back. Yes, I know. Okay.
Seems so ridiculous. I mean, it's... And honestly... people don't even realize when they're like, oh, look, that's, and it's the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio sitting up and pointing at the TV. And it's like, guys, they're making fun of you. You are the butt of their joke. They're jangling keys and you're jumping like a kitten.
See, what I was hoping, if they were going to do a Predator movie in the past, it would take place in pirate times. And it would have been like in the ocean. Do you understand? It would have been pirates dealing with a predator.
That would be
ocean.
A great take on it. But you know what? That's too original for them to come up with. So never mind.
Anyway, moving on to BBC told to avoid clunky, colorblind casting and preachy anti-colonial storylines in drama series. Well, huh?
I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
The BBC has been urged to rethink colorblind casting at tokenism and preachy storylines about UK's colonial history in a scripted series, according to a major study commissioned by the broadcaster, conducted by a former BAFTA chair, Anne Morrison, and ex-Ofcom executive Chris Benavalia. The thematic review of portrayal and representation across BBC output found the clunky depictions of race can cause more harm than good.
You think?
The 80-page
report. DiNozzo.
Yes. The 80-page report revealed audience complaints about Doctor Who casting Nathaniel Curtis as Sir Isaac Newton in the 60th anniversary special Wild Blue Yonder, as well as the 2023 Agatha Christie miniseries Murder is Easy, which featured an allegory on colonialism, which probably was not in the Agatha Christie story, my guess is, right?
Exactly.
The review noted that the colorblind casting was a matter of controversy for commentators and some viewers, urging commissioners to consider their choices carefully. The report said that good intentions to increase diversity can lead to inauthentic outcomes that can sometimes be damaging to the communities they are attempting to serve.
Exactly.
Yes. and in depicting an anachronistic historical world in which people of color are able to rise up to the top of society as scientists, artists, courtiers, and lords of the realm, there may be the unintended consequence of erasing the past exclusion and oppression of ethnic minorities and breeding complacency about their former opportunities, the review said. What needs to be avoided is ethnic diversity, which looks forced and tick box, and we found our interviewers of color as empathetic on this point as those who are white. Okay, so nobody likes this stuff.
And you know, and this was something we've been saying for over a decade, and we were being called ists and phobes because of it.
Yeah, I know.
You know, if you'd have just listened to us.
I think another problem is too, no one's watching this stuff.
Well, they and this is what I said. As more and more people stop watching this crap, they are going to be forced to realize, oh, gee, maybe we've made a mistake here. And I think the best thing that could have possibly happened to the BBC is that they lost their government sponsorship. Because then it required them to start putting out good products, otherwise people wouldn't watch it. And they don't make any money. So you can't get your stupid messages out.
It said current measurements can lead to a sense that there needs to be a smattering of diversity in every program, which can lead to inauthentic portrayal, it added. In some cases, this can look clunky, particularly in scripted. Though Doctor Who was referenced, the report raised an eyebrow about the specific concerns regarding Curtis, as well as a mixed-race Newton seems much less of a stretch in a universe in which central characters are time-traveling extraterrestrials. I hate this argument. I don't know who's writing this article. What they don't understand is that in order for me to accept the time-traveling extraterrestrial, when he does visit Isaac Newton, there has to be some grounding in reality there. Yes, otherwise, it all falls apart.
It's not that they're failing to understand that. They're gaslighting you with that argument. They're still trying to run cover for it. But the reality is that this is exactly what I've been saying for so long. Because it's fiction to them, they feel they can do whatever they want. And the fact is, no, you can't. If you are going to do a fiction based on reality, the reality has to be real. Otherwise, you know, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah. I have a number of Agatha Christie writings, and she never deliberately stereotyped anyone, but rather she wrote characters as individuals. Isn't that interesting?
Right. And you also, there is, for all of this having to pick apart every author and say they were racist. And the vast majority of the scholars that study those authors say they were of their time. Well, that doesn't make it right. You still need to be aware of it, and you can't whitewash it. You can't hide it, because if you do, look, this is February. This is what they're calling Black History Month. If you whitewash Black history, there is no Black history. Suddenly, you were never oppressed. You were never slaves. It was always good for you, because we have eliminated that so as not to offend anybody. History should be a little bit offensive.
Whitewashed?
Yes,
no, what he's saying
mean it that way. Yes. That was intentional, yes.
It's a phrase the left has used, but yeah,
yes, I know, but I was emphasizing the word white.
Yes.
Oh,
white.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But what was I going to say? I was going to say, I remember there was a show, Houdini and Doyle, which I liked. But there was one show where I forget what one of the plot elements was. Maybe it was a mixed race man was dating a white woman, and there was controversy. Sure. People were after him for that, or maybe they were married and there was racism involved with that, which probably would have happened during that time.
Right.
But then there was another episode where like this weird chemist guy was up to no good, and he was played by a black actor, and I kept wondering, what's going on here? Is this a black actor playing a white character and it's colorblind casting, but then that kind of devalues what we just saw in the other episode about this black character experiencing racism. And it was just it was very, it confused me. That's all I'm trying to say, and I think that's what's happening with viewers. And you know, I don't know, but apparently Doctor Who went off the rails for a whole lot of other reasons too, though, besides just that. But it was just, I just thought this report was interesting. I don't know where the BBC is right now, what they produce. I do watch shows from England, but I think a lot of the ones that are good are still produced by ITV.
I do hope that this
pay cable
is.
outlet.
I do, and I know that people are going to say that I'm foolish for this, but I still would like to believe that this is a return to normalcy and a return to the sensible center, so to speak. That people are starting to realize how stupid a lot of this stuff is, and are pushing back. And the perpetrators of this are going, "Oh, this just isn't working. This is not."
I don't care if they decide to make Doctor Who gay. We just don't need to shove down our throat everywhere.
Actually,
there's zero reason to even mention that he might be gay.
Exactly. That's what I was going to point out, because for so long, the Doctor was effectively asexual. And every time you'd have a companion that wanted to get with the Doctor, he'd be like, no.
I got the impression that it's like, even though he can look like a younger guy, he's basically an old man. So it's
exactly,
weird.
Exactly.
Like he's hundreds of years old at this point. Maybe when he was younger, he did have a wife.
Yes,
like but now
but
he's old, it's like,
remember, he was William Hartnell.
Yes,
I mean, if we assume that he looked like his age at that point, and he's only gotten older since then, and they were for the longest time playing to exactly that idea that people meme when they talk about Twilight. That's disgusting. This guy's hundreds of years old. He's hanging out with high school girls. Yeah. It's disgusting. It's creepy.
Well, didn't they mention in one episode of Doctor Who, I think it was Tennant, who said something about being like 900 years old?
Yes.
Sense. They've talked about.
They did that.
And people have gone into great detail about how long he was each incarnation. There are blank spots where he could be much older because he's not with a companion. Anyway, I'm getting off topic there. It all goes back to, and I think what summed it up the best was Tom Baker, who most people associate, that's their Doctor, right? There was this great bit where he says something about, "You are a very attractive woman, probably." It's like as if he doesn't even know what attractive is in a human, but I assume you're attractive.
Well, plus he's an alien too. We have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, right? But one would argue he's an alien that looks
humanoid. I enjoy.
But yes, the idea of as soon as you start going down there, and I know this is going to upset all the shippers that are all 10 and Rose, but it's like, you know what? I didn't care for it when they started down that path back then.
Yeah.
I'm being intellectually honest here, people.
We were bothered by it, yeah. And they. I enjoyed watching Houdini and Doyle, and I never understood why they canceled. I enjoyed Houdini and Doyle too. Did you see it, Troy, by any chance?
I didn't know about it. No, I never
think
did.
it was. I don't know if it was a Canadian production or whatever. It was a one season show. It was about Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini teaming up to solve mysteries. It was kind of interesting.
It makes sense. I can kind of see that, yeah.
And of course, Doyle being the believer and Houdini being the skeptic.
The skeptic,
right?
Yeah. So it's like an early days X-Files kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. And like there'd be like a supernatural element, and you have to figure, is it going to get debunked by Houdini or is it going to be something else? It wasn't bad. I did enjoy it, yeah. It ends with, because Arthur Conan Doyle was kind of on a writing hiatus, and then it ends with him penning the first page of The Hound of the Baskervilles, but yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
I just find romance annoying in general. I think we're living in a very anti-romantic age, and I think Hollywood is not doing it any favors these days too. So
absolutely true, and there are a lot of people kind of bemoaning that because it is something that's wrong, not only with entertainment, but with society overall. And a lot of the reasons that you are annoyed with romance is because of this kind of thing being perpetrated the way it is.
You're right. Houdini and Doyle was on Fox. That's where I caught it. But I believe it was probably started as a Canadian production and they aired it there. But I could be wrong. Moving on to, speaking of romance, Netter sent this one to me.
Yeah. So I called this the McCaviar article.
Is this the James Bond?
Concept. Apparently, this isn't a new concept. This idea of caviar and chicken McNuggets going together. I did not know anything about this before this article.
Now, if y'all want to get in on this, McDonald's is having a thing online on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can be entered to try and get one of these while supplies last. Yeah.
Go for it if you want to, Netter. I'm not particularly interested.
I've never tried caviar, so this probably should be my first try, right?
Yeah, no, give it a try if you want to give it a try.
I would like caviar. I've never actually tried it, so I don't know.
And I actually have to give credit to this article to Kyle at my office, who happened to mention it during meeting, and we thought he was joking. He goes, no, it's true. And I looked it up.
Yeah. So, and she's like, I think this might be good for Geeky Geeks. We've got like 3 articles here on food. I was like, why not?
McDonald's is launching a limited edition giveaway ahead of Valentine's Day that pairs with its most recognizable menu on its traditional high-end product, caviar. The fast food announced Monday its re-release of offer McNugget caviar kits through online-only drop at McNuggetCaviar.com. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's partnering with Paramount Caviar, UA's best caviar supplier, known for serving Michelin-starred restaurants and luxury hotels, the company said in a press release. Do these mix?
Apparently.
So yeah, if you get further into the article, apparently they do. Apparently there's been this thing that people have been doing of putting caviar on McNuggets. Yeah. Apparently.
So you get McNuggets and you get caviar.
My question is it like beluga caviar or are we talking like lumpfish? You know? There is a difference.
I don't know. Apparently, Big Al said it tasted like rotten tuna. So, okay.
Oh, God. You know what? He's probably
tuna,
right.
Though. I like tuna, though.
Caviar that one time off the mystery shelf at...
Yeah, it was lumpfish. It wasn't the best caviar, but it's like, introductory, give it a try, right? It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't, in my opinion, worth what you were paying for it.
James Bond would eat caviar.
Yeah.
Because, he liked the fancy stuff, didn't he?
I think it was more, I don't think he went out of his way for the caviar. I think he ate the caviar because he did what he had to do in terms of schmoozing. Given a choice, I think he'd just say, give me another martini.
Maybe. Actually, if you... James,
or maybe I'm just projecting. I don't know.
Do you know what James Bond's favorite food is?
Corned beef on a hard roll.
No.
I don't know.
Scrambled eggs. I found that out from reading the books. That's his favorite go-to comfort food.
How did he like them scrambled?
I don't know. Not American style, not with milk. Probably
no. Nobody likes it with milk. That was a Depression era thing that never should have happened. No. What I meant by that was, does he like them where they're starting to turn brown? Does he like them a little bit runny? That kind
I don't know. They didn't go into that much detail in the book.
The favorite food of a fictional character. This is not an unreasonable question.
He liked them how Ian Fleming liked them, so I'll have to do some research there because it was Ian Fleming's favorite food. That's why he made it Bond's favorite food.
Well, that makes sense. That's perfectly reasonable. Okay.
All right. This was on Fox. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Cracker Barrel employees told to pay for their own alcohol and eat at company restaurants while on the road. Yikes, man. It's like...
Honestly, though, I mean... Okay, go ahead and get into it. But my first take on this was like, I kind of understood this one. This kind of makes, business sense.
Employees are expected to dine at Cracker Barrel store for all majority of meals while traveling whenever practical based on location schedule, said the message from Cracker Barrel management, at first reported by the Wall Street Journal. Cracker Barrel is also reportedly cutting off its traveling workers from booze, restricting alcohol purchases from being expensed. Exceptions for special occasions must be pre-approved, said the message.
Yep.
But you can get alcohol at Cracker Barrel, can't you? I could be wrong.
Yes, you can. Well, they serve beer. I don't know if possibly wine. Yeah. I don't know what else they
Cracker Barrel added beer and wine to its.
You can't expense alcohol.
Yeah.
I'll say this: 20 years ago, this might have been a good deal because they had a pretty extensive menu at Cracker Barrel. I still don't think it's bad, but it's not what it was. And I don't know. Many longtime customers claim the restaurant's food has deteriorated over years as favorites disappear from the menu and kitchen shortcuts replace early practices. Yeah, like the chicken salad sandwich. They had the best chicken salad sandwich there, and they took it off the menu. Yep. Why? But apparently Cracker Barrel announced last month it was bringing back some classic menu items such as hamburger steak and eggs in the basket to win back customers. I looked at the hamburger steak, which I remember used to be on the menu. It's hamburger.
Right.
It's formed in like a steak form.
Yep.
I just make that at home, right? I mean, I don't.
Well, I think people are starting to realize more and more that that's true of just about everything. I'm looking at McDonald's going, I could probably do this at home and I can probably do it better, you know?
And with less calories.
Well, at least you can take control of the calories. Calories are worth it if you enjoy it, you know, and anyway,
Cracker Barrel's not completely left their new woke ways. They dialed it back though, because they got some pushback.
They sure did. Yeah.
Anything left to say on this though?
No, I'm gonna say that I kind of understand this because I've seen this in the business world. People do have a tendency to take advantage. And if you're traveling, why are you expensing alcohol unless you are entertaining clients for some important business reason? You know, maybe you ought to not be doing that.
On the bright side, you can get breakfast any time of day at Cracker Barrel, and they still do a pretty good breakfast. So there we go.
Took McDonald's a while to figure that out. So yeah.
And our final article of the night.
There we go.
Live long and fiber. William Shatner stars in Kellogg's Super Bowl Raisin Bran ad. What?
Did you see this ad? Have you seen? Because it's actually been out there for a little while. I saw this and okay, so I think I told Boomer this already, but I don't think I shared it with all of you. I saw this ad, and at first I was like, does Shatner realize what he's saying? You know, because this is what do you say? This is Bill Shat, and I'm like, that doesn't sound good. And then he's talking about fiber, and I'm like, this is not there. And then there's this bit where he beams down, because they're playing up the Star Trek thing, and he beams down to talk to people about the importance of fiber. And he's standing on top of a truck, and someone goes, "Look, Bill Shat on a truck." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, he gets it. This is part of the shtick." And they knew what they were doing. I'm like, "Okay, this is actually kind of brilliant."
I have to imagine that they kept a heavy supply of Raisin Bran on the old Enterprise because those back then those replicated meals you had to pass them through somehow.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point.
It's funny they never specifically. I don't know if they ever specifically mentioned replicator on the original series, but remember
they didn't. In fact, there was a galley, and they talked about the food being reconstituted.
Yes, reconstituted meals.
It was not replicated, and it was, and if you paid attention, like fans do, you would know. And I'm not picking on you. I'm picking on the people that write for it now.
Yeah.
You would know that there's a very specific chronology to when replicators came into existence, and they were not introduced on the original Enterprise.
No.
They were not. They didn't exist before Kirk's day. They sure didn't exist during what's his name, Jonathan Archer's day, but apparently they did exist during the Discovery era, which is in between those two. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. That's not what this is about.
Never trusted the replicator.
Well, you know, there was this guy that worked on on teleportation technology. I think his name was like Seth Brundle. You got to be careful with that kind of technology. You really do.
Yeah, you go up to the replicator and you'll ask for some.
You can
Siberian...
end up with your butt in the front. Yeah.
Oh, there was a funny joke on a cartoon series called Megas XLR where the guy goes up to the replicator. I get anything I want, and he says, "Vampire cheerleader," and the thing says no, and he says, "Regular cheerleader." So, no.
Regular cheerleader.
And then the other guy, he's you know what he said? He said, "Philly cheesesteak wrapped in bacon, deep fried," and then it materialized in front of him.
I like the sound of
anyway,
that,
I don't know, man. That's some triglycerides there. But maybe they don't exist because the replicator is supposed to give you healthy food, even if it doesn't, even if it's.
Well, there is, and this is the kind of thing that a good writer would pay attention to and kind of start poking at and say, you know, the reason that you don't have a bunch of, well, at least in real Trek, you don't have a bunch of overweight people on all the ships is because the replicators create healthy versions of the foods you want, which might explain why there is this whole, well, why is it that people don't like replicated food? Because you're not getting the full fat version of whatever it is you think you want. You're getting, you know, the
lean cuisine version.
The lean cuisine.
You're getting the lean cuisine pizza instead of the pizza. To be fair, lean cuisine pizzas aren't bad, but they're not.
Well,
it's not like any
I've always said pizza's like sex.
Pizza.
You know, even when it's not good, it's still not bad.
Anyway, I guess have more fiber, as William Shatner says. So there we go.
Exactly.
Right.
And we talked about this obliquely last week. Before the ad came out, he did a publicity bit that he showed a picture of himself in his car eating Raisin Bran, and that X post got more likes than the first episode of Starfleet Academy got views for free on YouTube.
Yeah, that's because it's more interesting. I think you could probably put up a video of paint drying and we get more views than Starfleet Academy.
And that kind of was what he was kind of poking at. He was like, funny, man. Me eating cereal is more popular than this new era of Star Trek, apparently. So
cool. And that brings us to the end.
Yes,
Sweet sorrow. We'll probably have some interesting news next week because it was Super Bowl today, and I'm sure there were tons of movie commercials and commercials for other things that we may want to talk about, right?
Absolutely. We'll let you. We'll finalize our plans and we'll let you know. But we have. This is interesting. Coming up tonight. Deleted doesn't have reserved seats tonight, I don't think. I think he mentioned that earlier in the week. So I'm going to be forwarding you a little bit early to the Doctor Who stream. So just go ahead, get there, hit the notification bell. If you can't stay up late, maybe hit the like and drop a comment or whatever. But if you do, just leave the tab open. We'll get going regular time. Tonight's Doctor Who episode is the entire next serial is just 2 episodes, so you're getting the whole Edge of Destruction 2-parter tonight. And next week, bear with me, folks. We are going to do the missing serial called Marco Polo. I'll be offering you the reconstruction of it. It's tough to watch, but I still think it's worth checking out because, it's Doctor Who history. So we'll get into that next week. But Monday night, my members, please join me for one of two movies. And right now, I'm not sure which one it's going to be. We have a tie for first place between Grease from 1978 and Hard to Hold from 1984. So I'm not sure which one we'll be watching.
I promise I did not change my vote.
Yes, I know. I am inclined to, if I have to do the tiebreaker, guys, it's going to be Hard to Hold because I know that we have done watch parties of Grease, About Last Night, and St. Elmo's Fire on my channel and the associated channels, like the Saturday Night at the Movies. But I'm going to leave it up to you members. And if you haven't voted, go on over to the community tab on my channel and either vote or change your vote or whatever the case might be. But that's Monday. Tuesday, of course, live from Sparkwood and 21, all of us here on the panel, along with Deleted Scenes. We're going to be talking Fire Walk with Me. We've just spent 3 weeks watching the extended fan edit of Fire Walk with Me and the Missing Pieces, and we're going to dig into the lore in a deep dive kind of way on Tuesday. And we're going to follow that up with the next installment of the return of Sherlock Holmes on my channel. Every day this week, of course, we have Liquid Lunch. If you're available for any period of time between noon and 1 Central, I have a 1-hour stream that I do just to get together with all of you at lunchtime. Thursday will be over on Netter's Network where you've got something special happening, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because people are like, you're able to wait that long?
Yeah.
I have.
She's a very disciplined woman. Let's be honest.
I try to be. Troy gave me a package. By Thursday, it'll be 3 weeks that I've had this package that I have not opened. So I will be doing an unboxing of whatever this thing is that Troy knows what it is, but I do not.
That's true. I do.
So I'm doing an
unboxing.
It's a jack in the box.
It's a jack in the box.
You're going to open up and the clown's going to pop out in your face.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too heavy. It's got, I'd say it weighs about as much as a kitten for weight reference. And I don't know, it could be anything. Maybe it's a new car. I don't know. I don't drive.
I think it's too small a package for a new car.
Or there's snacks.
Well, I wouldn't have let you wait 2 weeks on snacks.
By Thursday, it'll be 3 weeks.
Yeah. But if you want to find out what it is, you're going to have to tune in on Thursday, Netter's Network.
Sounds good.
So there's that. And Friday, of course. Friday's Friday the 13th. So join Big Al for a watch party of, I don't remember which Friday the 13th he's doing this time, but check it out. And that'll, of course, lead into Last Call, where Boomer and I are still squaring away what the topic's going to be. But whatever it is, it's going to be fun because, well, it's going to be fun for me because I'm going to be drinking. So that's Friday. Saturday is, I think it's a Big Al week this week. And, that's right. Because Friday is Friday the 13th. That means Saturday is Saturday the 14th. So that's what we will be watching on Saturday on Big Al Presents. We'll be watching Saturday the 14th, which I've never seen. I've wanted to for so long and have not gotten around to it.
You'll get a kick out of it.
I know I will. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So that is the week, my friends.
And we'll see you next time. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And hopefully we'll have some cool things to talk about next week.
Well, that is the plan, right?
Yep.
Yes. All right.
Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
one.